All right, well, let's get started. We are continuing our review of Turia Pitt's book, Happy, which we started last week, and we got through only as far as the introduction in the first chapter because there was quite a lot of good stuff in there, wasn't there? How are you guys going? Have you managed to read any further with it?
Nope.
I'm waiting on one to come from the library.
Ah, okay. So neither of you read any further with it at the moment. All right, well, that's fine. You were both on the call last week, so we've covered the introduction and the first chapter. I'll just quickly mention a couple of things. I won't dwell on it too long. Turia Pitt is, of course, the very inspirational lady who, at the young age, I think about 24, she was running the ultra marathon up in the north of Western Australia and got caught in a bushfire unexpectedly, which came in out of nowhere, as bushfires can tend to do. And she was airlifted out, but unfortunately suffered 65% burns to her body. So her journey has been one of incredible pain, incredible resilience. Doctors who were interviewed that were working with her said they'd never seen a burns victim have so much trauma and survive it. So she's obviously got an incredible tenacity, which you'd expect from someone who's an ultramarathon runner, but none of us know how we would deal with something like that until you put to the test, which hopefully none of us ever are. But for her, it's been life-changing in many ways. And as is often the case with things that are seemingly awful, she's been able to continue on. It's made her relationship stronger with her husband. He supported her all the way through it. They've had a child together. She has become an internationally celebrated author and speaker, and has gone through many operations to restore to replace or to repair as much of the damage as they could. And she described with joy, as we were reading last week, things that we take for granted, like simply being able to breathe through her nose again for the first time in a long time. And describing the feeling of that first sucking in of air through her nostrils, which we'd all take for granted. And yet, when it's taken away from you, you realize just what you have taken for granted, I suppose. So she talks, I love her writing style. She's very down to earth, very Aussie. What you see is what you get. And, there's a few swear words in there, and she just describes things as if she's in a conversation with you. And I think it's a lovely, refreshing style. She talks about the fact that you are special. This book's written for you as much as she can do. And that your life circumstances, your personality, your upbringing make you unique. So one of the great things that came out of the awful trauma that she suffered was that she learned how to look at the positives, that she got more family time, more time at home, more time to cook, more time with her new baby. Well, that was when the bushfires were going on around near her hometown. Now imagine how traumatic that would be. Bushfires near your hometown after you've survived something already that's just awful, and it must have been bringing it all back to her. One interesting thing that came out of that, well, not many interesting things, but one of the things that I highlighted was the constant, never-ending quest for happiness is not only exhausting but unattainable. So if we're trying to look at happiness as some kind of endpoint that we strive for, it isn't. It's a daily or a moment-by-moment decision. We can make ourselves happy simply by being present, simply by reflecting, being grateful for what we have around us. It's a continuum, she says, with ample space for improvement along the way. And it's okay to experience those other darker moments of sadness or anger or despair or whatever, but to move through them. We're all human, so we're all going to experience those moments, and people that trigger or push our buttons, or circumstances that don't go the way we want them to, but it's how we deal with that, how we bounce back is what counts. So she says, focus on amplifying happy moments, practice gratitude, be present with your loved ones, savor the good times, learn to love yourself, try to have fun, enjoy your friends and family, and be kind. That's a good list, isn't it? good list of things to aspire to. And the title of the book is Happy and Other Ridiculous Aspirations, which I think is a great title. So that was all in the introduction. And then in chapter 1 was all about gratitude, savoring, and anticipation, what she calls GSA. So if you remember the importance of gratitude, so many of the books that we've reviewed have that in common. They all talk about how powerful gratitude is, because it takes your focus off what you don't have or what's not going well for you, and puts your focus back onto all the things that are going well and that you might be taking for granted. And that's a powerful thing, and it does sort of restore your faith in the fact that your life's pretty good. Actually, it just depends which things you choose to focus on, doesn't it? Savoring, meaning really enjoying those things, really not just eating the exotic food, but actually savoring every mouthful. And same with every other aspect of life, enjoying that fine wine, or simply just enjoying being with nature, or having good friends around you, or family, depending on how you get on with your family, of course. Not everyone does. So but let's say that you do get on with them, then savor those moments with them. If you don't, go and get some new friends. All right. And anticipation, the joy of looking forward to something. Isn't it cool when you know you've got something really exciting coming up? You know, for us this year, it's a big one with holidays, because some of our holidays that we'd planned were postponed because of COVID-19 and how the pandemic swept the world. So we had a big trip to America, Canada, Alaska that was put off, and it's going to happen this year. We had my partner going to New Zealand for a course that got cancelled because of the borders being closed. And so then we had this flight that what's she going to do with that now? Because the course got cancelled, or the course continued, but only with people who were already in New Zealand who could go to it. So we simply bought another flight ticket. Now we're going on a 10-day holiday to New Zealand, which was on my bucket list anyway. So I'm pretty happy about that. So when maybe we'll get to catch up, Coralie. We'll see what we can do. So savoring, giving yourself something to look forward to. And she brought up this thing of hedonic adaptation, how, you know, when you get something new that you're all excited about, let's say you bought yourself a new car, and at first you look after it, and you won't let a speck of dirt get on your car. You're wiping off, telling people to wipe their feet before they get in the car and all this kind of thing. And then a few months later, you're just taking the car for granted, and it's covered in dirt because you can't be bothered to wash it. And, you know, that new car smell's gone out of the car. It's very easy to fall into that, the thing of taking everything for granted. So sometimes, well, realize that will happen probably, but also look at the things that are important that you want to remind yourself to treat them as if they were new sometimes, and as if they were exciting again. One of the things I mentioned last week was that the view from where we live, that my wife and I have this fantastic view with nature all around us, and a sort of infinity view. We can look out across from the hills out towards seeing aircraft coming in at the airport, and seeing the twinkly lights at night time. And we said, wow, we love this view. When we moved in, we vowed never to take it for granted. So we'll go and sit out there and just look at the view with a glass of wine, watch the sunset, and go, yep, it's still just as good as it was 6 years ago when we first moved in. So it's so easy to take those things for granted, but it's good when you remind yourself not to, and to actually be grateful and savor those moments. Okay, does anyone want to add anything to what we covered? Was there anything else that you got out of that last week that you're reminded of, or that leapt out for you in the discussion? No other thoughts to add?
That's all good, Tony.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, we'll move on then. So we got as far as finishing chapter 1. So chapter 2, the very best morning routine. So she talks about setting yourself up for the day by having a great morning. And what's the thing that most of us do first thing in the morning? Do you have a morning routine at all? Can I just ask both of you?
Sure do.
What do you do, Stan? You don't mind sharing?
So I do, let's see, I do affirmations, goal writing, some fictional writing, some non-fictional writing, some reading, some tapping, and then some fictional reading just for fun.
Wow. What time do you get up?
That only takes about 20 minutes.
All of that?
Yeah.
Blimey. I thought you were going to say you don't go to bed. You don't sleep. That's impressive, Stan. Very good. Coralie,
Short
follow
and
that.
sharp. It doesn't take long to do like a page of affirmations.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, affirmations you can say quite quickly. Coralie, do you have any particular routine that you follow?
Yeah, I get up and well, I actually am training myself to, while I'm still in bed, to be grateful for my bed and everything around, and then get up, have a cup of coffee and meditate.
Wow, good for you.
Mm.
That's awesome. Well, I do practice the thing where I wake up and I firstly thank the universe for the incredible life that I've got and the fantastic view that we have from our bedroom window, as I just described, looking out at that expansive landscape in front of us and all the trees around us, which is just magnificent.
Ooh, the golden list.
Yeah, and usually the first thing I have to do is go and let the dog out and give him his he gets a dental stick, you know, so he goes and has a chomp on that to keep his breath fresh and his teeth sharp and all that. And yeah, I like to do some reading if I can. There's a couple of the mornings where if I've been up late at night, because we also do caring for my 29-year-old stepson who is at home with us still with epilepsy and autism. Has a chronic epilepsy condition, genetic one. So sometimes we're dealing with things with him, maybe during the night or first thing in the morning. But it's so good to, if you can, to read and put yourself in a positive mindset. One thing I picked up from some of these books was to try to avoid the temptation to go straight away looking at your phone or looking at messages, or because that's sort of inviting the outside world in and destroying the serenity of your thoughts, isn't it? So that's something very interesting that Turia talks about straight away, is that you don't do is don't go and look straight at your phone, which is, I know my wife had a spell of doing that. She's broken that habit now. But I used to wake up to the sound of that sort of tapping noise as someone's typing on a phone, you know? or some YouTube video that she was playing where people are yelling and screaming or something, and you kind of go, what? First thing in the morning? Anyway, she's discovered Wim Hof. I don't know if you've heard of him at all, and he does all the breathing exercises. So she's doing those breathing meditation.
She's doing an ice bath so far.
You have the icy cold showers first thing in the morning as well. I tried that, nearly had a heart attack.
I don't need to try that.
Yeah, I like the hot shower that warms me up and gets my old bones moving first. But everyone's different, so that's great. I mean, and she's loving doing that. So it's good to have a routine of some sort that sort of sets you up and gets you back into the rhythm of what you want to achieve. And I think planning your day ahead is good to know what it is you want to do. So anyway, let's look at what Turia says. She's very much stresses the importance of it's a good idea to hit pause, to slow down and view each day as an extraordinary opportunity in your life. Strong words. Mornings are perfect for this. So think about it. Each morning is like a whiteboard that's been expunged of all the whiteboard marker, fresh and clean, and beseeching you to scribble all over it. So each day is a clean slate for you.
She comes up with some good descriptions.
She does, doesn't she? And she says, mornings are sacred. So early in the morning, the world is quiet. The only living things awake other than you are the kookaburras and the gum trees, and on Mondays, the garbage men. Mornings provide you with a rare, precious gift. No, not frankincense or myrrh, time. So assuming, of course, you don't have young children who are jumping all over you, or newborn pets or whatever that are wanting your attention. So she plans her day, spends her time with her son, with her husband, and does some reading, sets herself up for the day. So number 3, she says, you've got a full tank. If you've had a good sleep and you're well rested, your willpower tank is refreshed, renewed, and raring to go. So this is funny. She says, deciding which caviar to eat for breakfast, navigating the traffic on your tricycle, listening to your boss drone on about his new drone, sitting in a 2-hour sales meeting, forcing yourself to order a salad rather than hot chips with gravy at lunch. All of these seemingly inconsequential decisions weaken your willpower. Does anyone have to sit there deciding which caviar to eat? No, not me. So willpower, something you can build up first thing in the morning. And having a good night's sleep is a big factor. And I think a lot of us, I know I'm guilty of that, don't allocate enough time for sleep. And I tend to, if I've got something that I'm trying to achieve, like I've got a morning presentation, you know, I'll stay up late the night before getting stuff done, ready for it and things like that. And so that's something I know I need to work on, is improving the sleep by allocating time for it. So research says so, number 4, why this is a good idea to have a morning routine. Research has shown how we start our day has a massive impact on how the rest of our day flows. You run the day or the day runs you, yeah? So morning people have been shown to be happier, more productive, and more content with their lives. It seems even our brains are bigger when we first wake up. Didn't know that. Anyway, she talks about the fact that people are either larks or owls, morning people or night people. Now, I would describe myself as a night person because of my years of running tourism businesses and staying up late running the bar, or having to go out to the airport picking people up, new arrivals. That kind of has become, well, I did that for 14 years, so of course that had a big impact. But can you change? Yes, you can, because she says that she was a night person, a night owl. And she put some work after reading a book, Laura Vanderkam's brilliant book, What the Most Successful People Do Before Breakfast. She found, and she's done a lot of reading, by the way, well, I guess when you've had burns and injuries to that extent, a lot of the time you would be confined to bed or sitting around recovering or waiting for surgeries and things like that. So she's done a lot of reading in those years. And as we know, reading is a powerful thing for improving your outlook on life and expanding your mind. So she was intrigued by this revelation of waking up earlier, so decided to start doing it. And how she did it was to change it by 15 minutes a day. So go to bed 15 minutes earlier, get up 15 minutes earlier. And gradually over time, she found, like Stan just said, how much can you get done in 20 minutes? That was an incredible list of achievements, Stan. Well done. So she said just even 15 minutes of changing that habit makes a big difference. And 2 weeks in, the habit had stuck. I was waking up 1 whole hour earlier, and I used that hour to make a coffee and drink it, snuggled up with a blanket on the couch, reading a book. I'd made it as easy as possible to get up earlier, and it was working. As I got used to the earlier starts, I found other things I wanted to do. I love crunching numbers, so I'd use that time to get my bookkeeping done. When my alarm went off, I'd be so excited at this whole hour to do something I loved uninterrupted. So that was a key thing, is find something that you really enjoy doing. And then you've got a reason to get up early and do it and enjoy doing it. So you can change it. And according to research, we actually are, with our circadian rhythms, we're really designed to get up when the sunlight comes upon us and wakes us up, which is quite early here in Perth. So, you know, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you should be up and at it, not lazing in bed and then staying up with artificial light late at night. Ideally, but of course everyone is different. All right, well, step 1, a morning routine starts at nighttime.
It's 5:30 at the moment.
Well, there you go. A good morning always starts the night before. A good night's sleep is key. And like I said earlier, I used to glorify a lack of sleep. And that was one of our things in society is we're almost praised for working harder, staying up late, and proving that you're a workaholic, like, you know, all the people who want to get on and be successful. It's almost a badge of honor. And she's not the only one to talk about this. Arianna Huffington talks about it a lot in her book Thrive, that there was sort of a glory in the corporate world of, well, how hard are you working? You know, are you burning the candle at both ends? And if you're not trying hard enough. Ever experienced that, or ever been told that, you know, you need to prove that you're working harder?
I have certainly had pressure to, work till stupid hours of the morning, and it's so dumb. I'm very anti.
Yeah.
Because it's dangerous.
It's not good for you, is it, in the long run? So you can prepare for it, she said. And one of the things she does is to go to bed earlier and read in bed. She said, sometimes I might read for an hour, but sometimes I might just read for 5 minutes and then I'm wanting to fall asleep. So that's something I've now started doing. Instead of staying up late, maybe watching YouTube videos or something, I'll go and take my book to bed, and I'm getting some quality reading done, putting some good thoughts in to my brain that are going to circulate through my dreams, I guess. And maybe I'll adopt some of those philosophies or things that I'm trying to teach myself from these books late at night when I'm receptive to it. Step 2, waking. The peacock calls. I like this, is quite funny. The peacock calls. In other words, her son Hakavi sits up in bed and woofs like a dog. I glide out of my gossamer sheets, untangle the doona, slip on my finest silk slippers, hiking socks, and drink a cup of the rarest opium tea, head blindly for the coffee machine. After that's done, I don't do something. What's that something? I don't look at my phone. Very important. Because otherwise, before you know it, you're looking at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, watching people's videos, looking at whose birthday it is, and you can just chew through time at all that stuff. The mornings are sacred and special, and most importantly, they're yours. Don't clog them up looking at other people's shit, she says. I love the way she writes. Step 3, making the bed. Now, have any of you seen that video by the American general, or I think he was a general Navy commander?
No, he's a Navy SEAL.
Navy SEAL, there we go. And he talks about the importance of making your bed. You've seen it then, Stan. Tell us.
Yeah. I can't remember anything, but I remember he says the first thing you do is make your bed, because that's what the army taught you. And then it's a job out of the way, and it's done, and you're ready to go. And then the bed's ready to go when you come back for sleeping.
Yes, that's true. And it breaks that pattern of, you know, you've sort of put a line through the fact that you're now no longer in sleeping mode. You're now awake and ready to face the day and take on new challenges and do things. So it's a completion exercise, and it's a discipline. So having a daily discipline like that, just like having your morning routines, which I'm very impressed with you guys both having good morning routines, that establishing those disciplines sets you up well for the day. And research shows that making your bed, amazingly, correlates with better productivity and emotional well-being. Who'd have thought? Step 4, gratitude. As she said before, that's a great opportunity. You only need a couple of minutes, maybe journal it, maybe just think about it, just appreciate what you've got. Now I love step 5, Q&A. As in, ask yourself one question. What would make today great? As in, what's the one thing I could do today that would make it a brilliant day? Not, what do I have to do today? Because that might be, as she says, what shit do I have to do for other people today? No, what would you want to do that will make your day for you a great day? Very good question, huh? Good one to get into the habit of asking yourself.
Can I just...
Oh, Joe wants to make an appearance.
I want to add something. I just listened to, I've got this tapping app, and I just listened to the daily inspiration on it. So I'm going to write a post about it. And it was think of a person or a pet or a situation that you have gratitude for, and then imagine your life without that thing, what your life would be like. So I imagined if I hadn't met Tony. So then
life would have been awful.
Yeah, and then that makes your gratitude grow a lot bigger. I'm even having gratitude for my washing machine this morning, because I'm putting the washing in and I'm thinking, what if I didn't have my washing machine? So yeah, do the opposite, imagine not having it, and then how grateful you are. I just thought I'd add that.
Thank you, Joe.
Which app are you using, Joe?
Joe?
Oh, it's the tapping solution.
Solution? Yep.
Yeah.
Stan does tapping as well.
Yeah.
And my dog's just come up to want some fuss. So he's just
He's going to do some tapping on him.
yeah, he wants some tapping as well. He's a good boy. He had a great day yesterday down on the beach, which we were very grateful for. So by putting this attention onto what it is that you want for the day, you're triggering your reticular activating system, your RAS. You're focusing on what it is that you want to happen and what you want to attract. So you're setting yourself up to attract more of those things. So step 6, doing important stuff. In other words, the things that are important to you. And everyone's unique, everyone's different. So whatever's important to you, you've created that morning time for it. So go do it. Have fun doing it. Whatever it is. Step 7, cold water. There you go, Stan. I knew it was going to be in there. Wim Hof. Yeah, read his book if you haven't learned about the power of cold water. A cold shower also improves mental alertness, boosts your energy, and is an all-round invigorator. And I like this. I have to read this to you. If you've ever been thrown into a cold shower or had cold water thrown at you, then you'll know it wakes you the fuck up. So apologies for anyone who's offended by swearing, but I'm just reading what the author has written here. So,
I love it.
go on. Yeah.
I just love the swearing.
There's a whole bunch of steps to start that. Like one of them is like when you're first in the shower and you're waiting for it, you can just get the water and splash it on you to start with, or like turn it cold and then hot again, and you kind of get used to it.
Yeah,
and it's best to start in the summertime, and then you just like continue on into the winter because it's easy.
Yeah, which is what
because you've already got the habits done.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I don't want to do that in the wintertime, it's freezing.
I gave myself the shock of turning it full on cold, and I just about jumped out of the shower. It certainly woke me up. So step 8, deep thinking work. So it's a good opportunity, if you've created this time in the morning with your morning routine, to really think about what it is that's important in your life. What do you want? What's your strategy? What's your long-term sort of aspiration? And what it requires is that your early morning willpower is being focused on that deep thinking stuff, not being used to answer emails or deal with other people's stuff. Use your willpower where it's really needed, and remember, if it's important, it has to happen first. So you've just woken yourself up. You're at your peak in terms of you're a blank slate. Use that time for you, powerfully for you. All right, and remembering that question, what would make today great? Keep it simple, focus on what makes you feel good, and the rest will follow, because life can and will get in the way. If so you're not going to have this perfect every morning. Obviously, some things suddenly happen that you can't control, but it's a good idea to get yourself into this habit as much as you can, and then you will have a better outcome from it. All right, that was the end of chapter 2. Any other thoughts on that? Comments?
No, it's all good.
All good. How are we going for time? Well, we got time to get into chapter 3, I think. So Zest brackets, energy, not citrus. So, taking into account all these sort of rhetorical questions, she says, if you have more energy, hang on, let's go back even further. If you have more energy, are you more motivated, more caring, more invested in the stuff that matters? Triple yet. If you have more energy, are you a purple unicorn? Just checking if you're still awake, she says. And are you happier if you have more energy? Yes, and vice versa. The happier you are, the more energy you'll have. So that's an interesting upward spiral, isn't it? You're happy, you're more energetic. You're more energetic, you're happier. As opposed to the alternative, being drained, being negative, feeling even more drained because you're feeling negative, you know? So it's a good one to get into, boosting yourself up. And on top of that, higher energy levels help boost your self-esteem. So you generally feel better about yourself. Well, that's a good start, isn't it? So the three most important elements for happy energy, as far as she and many others are concerned. Number one, moving your body. Very easy to sit around, or is it? Probably not. You've got young kids, Stan, that would be hard for you to sit around, I would think. Coralie, you seem to be always very busy. So moving your body probably comes quite easily to you, does it?
Well, I do, because, yeah. But I actually find I do start seizing up if I sit around a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, wait till you get to my age.
And it's better. I do lots of my reading while I'm walking.
Yes.
Because
Reading
it actually
while you're
activates
walking.
your. Yeah.
What, you mean listening to audio, or you walk?
No, I mean as in reading while I'm walking.
And how do you not walk into things?
Yeah.
Well, how do you not walk into things when you're using your phone?
Good point.
And I usually you can do it on the spot, but I can actually walk distances and read. And your brain is because your brain is activated, you actually retain more.
You juggle things at the same time, Stan.
No, that's a different story. It's like a master level. But I've also got a desk cycle. So
you carry a desk with you while you're walking.
Yeah. Sometimes I get on the desk cycle and cycle and read.
Okay.
Stuff. So,
Desk cycle.
yeah. And the Japanese figured out that that's what they do with a lot of their kids for learning. The kids ride little desk cycles and learn.
Well, there you go. I've learned something. I didn't know such a thing existed.
It's a good idea though for like fidgety kids.
Yeah, getting kids moving, because there's so many kids you see sitting around just on their devices, their tablets and their phones, and not moving at all. So number two, eating well. Well, we all know that that's important, don't we? That you're feeding your body with either good nutrients or.
That doesn't mean wine and cheese, Tony.
You sure, Stan? Are you sure about that? I disagree with you on that, because a glass of red wine is full of antioxidants.
That's a glass of red wine, not a bottle of red wine.
Oh.
Saying horrible things.
Yeah, Stan, that's enough of that. Cut that out. Swearing at us like that. Number three, getting enough sleep was already talked about. So, and once you've got a body like Beyonce, you eat like Gwyneth Paltrow, and you sleep like a koala, we should also tackle the old grey matter, your mind. Because how you feel and how you think affects how much energy you have, and thus affects how much happiness you're building. Well, that's why I think reading positive books is a big way of keeping your energy level up as well. It keeps you inspired, keeps you thinking positively, keeps you thinking creatively as well. So eating well. Well, after the fire, she said, I went from being a fit, healthy woman. Remember, she was an ultra marathon runner, to a pale stick insect. You know, a lot of her was burnt and she shriveled and was basically cooked alive almost. So she was told to eat more and even to eat fast food. So she obliged. Boy, did I oblige, she said. I ate McDonald's, KFC, Red Rooster, whatever I could get my hands on. Sure, all that stuff was delicious in a fast foody way, But I was on so many different types of medications, sleeping pills, antidepressants, pain medication, that quickly the combo made me feel sick and exhausted. It was a really shit time. I needed life to be considerably less shit. So I started with food. I ate the beautiful meals my mum provided. I drank fresh juices, flooded my body with good stuff, and I started cooking more meals from scratch for myself. And what do you know? I began to feel better. Have you experienced that where you've maybe gone on a bit of a binge? I know I have. The last couple of weeks we've had family staying, eating Christmas puddings and Christmas pies and mince pies and drinking every day. And you start to feel bleh. Your body wants to detoxify, doesn't it?
Mm.
Start eating healthy again and restoring your nutrition balances and all that sort of stuff. So food is meant to be enjoyed, though. Sharing meals with friends and family amplifies the experience. Eating should be fun, and it should be yum. Why not savor the sweet glory of a tomato, or take delight in the crisp tartness of an apple, or relish in the exquisite pleasure of slathering creamy and salty butter over a freshly baked croissant?
Oh, what's on?
Sounds good. Sounds very good to me. So it helps if you've got a good cook, or you are a good cook yourself, and you know how to cook the right things and eat fresh, healthy foods. But it does set you up for a better energy level and a better outlook on life. If your body is a bit like a car, if you put crappy petrol and crappy oil in your car, it's not going to run as efficiently as if you put good quality oil. Food is like oil, really, isn't it, for us? So, all right. And part of it is because we can feel agitated, irritated, anxious, or even angry if our food is wrong. It can really have quite a profound impact on us. If you want more information about all that, talk to Jo, because she is a metabolic mindset coach who helps people understand what types of food we should be eating, which, as I just said, we have not been properly following for the last couple of weeks while we've had family visiting and it's been Christmas. But we are now back on track again.
I'll ask Jo some questions later on.
All right. So movement is movement. So do something that feels good for you. In other words, get your goddamn ass off your satin couch and go do something, anything. Even a 10-minute walk provides an immediate energy boost and gets the endorphins going through your body. How you look affects how confident you feel. So if you can get yourself back in shape, sleep, as she said, aim for more sleep. Start by committing to several hours of going to, or several nights of going to bed early, and see how different you feel. All right.
Although I've had the problem a couple of times in the last weeks is, you look at the clock and think it's 12 a.m. and then you blink and it's like 2 a.m. and you're like, what? What happened to the time?
Can happen. All right, so she gives you some energy boosting quick wins. Number 1, decluttering. How good does it feel when you declutter and sort stuff out? While Jo was away in Brisbane recently, just before Christmas, I took it upon myself to pull everything out of the pantry. We've got one of those big pantries that has shelving that's a little bit hard to get to some parts of it. Pulled everything out, threw away loads of stuff that had been there forever that we didn't use and weren't ever going to use. And I put in some plastic tubs with stickers on, labeled everything and sorted it all out. And now every time I look in the pantry, I go, yes, I feel good about it. Did the same thing with my shed. Now, every man needs an organized man shed where you can find your tools, find what you're looking for. And it made me feel better, decluttering, sorting stuff out. Now, next thing I'm going to do is go through all my clothes and sort them out. So it does work. Marie Kondo was a good example of, if you want to find out more about decluttering and what an impact it can have. You ever watched her videos or read her book?
Oh yeah, she's fantastic.
She's incredible about, you know, even just the way you fold things can make a huge difference to how things are organized. So what it is, you're controlling the controllables, something you can do something about, and you're doing something about it. So it makes you feel better. Number 2, change your facial expression. It's true, isn't it? If you walk around feeling miserable and looking miserable, you look miserable, you start to feel more miserable. But if you walk around smiling, and this is where gratitude is so helpful, a simple smile can actually make you feel better. So if you're having a bit of a bad moment, stop and grin like a Cheshire cat into the mirror. And you may feel a bit silly, but you'll actually feel better. When I had my... Sorry, go.
Get better wrinkles. Because otherwise, you know, if you don't, you get all those ones and these ones.
She said somewhere in here that maybe it was in one other book that I was reading, that a child smiles or laughs something like 300 times a day, but as adults we maybe only laugh 15, 17 times a day.
You need to get better memes.
Exactly. Stan's always laughing. That's one of the things I like about Stan. He's always laughing. Number 3, change your body language. Picture someone tired and drained. What do they look like? What's their posture like? Are they slumped, head down, and so on? Well, right, we'll think about an energetic person. How do they look? Why not adopt that sort of posture? Be upright, be shoulders back, chest out, you know? You straight away feel better, don't you? So body language is a big thing. Now, you're going to love this one because Joe loves this one. Number 4, breathing, which I sort of took the mickey out a bit. You know, I've managed, my mother lived to 100 and no one had to teach her how to breathe. But, and I'm doing okay, 62 next week. Breathing, but the way we breathe, very often we don't use our full lung capacity, do we? And that's where I get my fix by playing indoor beach volleyball, and, you know, running around the court gets me breathing and gets me expanding the amount of oxygen going into the lungs and so on. It's very good for you. But it's so easy to be slumped and breathe. And have you ever noticed if you're stressed about something, notice you're not breathing properly. You might even be holding your breath or breathing in a really shallow manner. So if you just sit back and sit upright and take in a few really big, deep breaths, it actually has an impact on you straight away. You feel better. Little things that can make a big difference. Number 5, mindfulness. We know how important that is. Just being aware of what's going on around you. Just taking notice of the little things. As you said, Coralie, meditating. Doing affirmations, as Stan said. These things can all make a big difference to you, and they're not hard to do. That's the other thing about this. They are things that that can be easy to do. How are we going for time? See my clock. Okay. Well, what else does she talk about here? She mentions, would you know it, Wim Hof, the extreme athlete. And she interviews him.
Good to say his name when that cold water hits
Oh,
you.
yesterday got in the ocean and went, oh, it's a bit Wim Hof in here. Our swimming pool is running at about 30 degrees because I'm a big wuss and I like to get into a warm pool. And went into the ocean, and it's not that it's freezing cold in the ocean here, but I guess it probably drops to about maybe 19. I was going to say 19, 20. But that's a bit of a shock when you've been used to 30. So that first moment when you go under the water is like, ah, Wim Hof, Wim Hof. Felt like I'd been thrown into an icy bucket, you know. But then you get used to it, don't you? And then you're swimming around going, oh, it's pretty good in here, isn't it? And going for a swim in the ocean is really good for you too, because you've got a lot of positive ions in the water. And again, it actually makes you feel better. You come out of the ocean feeling invigorated and happier and more energetic.
And zesty.
And zesty. Yes. So she has these little sections at the end of each chapter that she calls TLDR. Can anyone tell me what that stands for?
LDR. Tula likes dopamine relays.
No, it's good effort, Stan. It's short for too long didn't read.
Oh, that's good.
Very good, isn't it? So in other words, she gives you the bullet points of what she's just been talking about in that chapter. So if you were kind of skimming going, oh, I can't read all this, it's just, you know, not that you are, because she's got a lovely writing style, but it's a summary. So too long didn't read. Okay, here's the bullet points. So
I like
the happier
that.
you are, the happier, see, put him laughing again. The happier you are, the more energy you have, and having more energy makes it easier to be happy. To create more energy, you've got to do basic stuff well, like eating healthy-ish food, moving your body, and making sure you get enough sleep. Having said that, there are ways to give yourself a quick boost in energy, like doing something you enjoy, changing your body language, and breathing long and slow and deep. And I have to just go back and find this somewhere, because somewhere where she was talking about what she eats, she mentioned wine. Anyway, can't find it now, but she said she likes to have a big glass of wine. Just a glass of wine, Stan, but a big glass of wine.
A big glass.
So there's the key. You just get yourself a bigger glass, and then you're still only having one glass of wine. But if it fits a whole bottle in that glass, then...
A friend's got a glass that does that.
Yep.
That takes a whole bottle.
All you've got to do then is remember not to knock it over, because that would be a tragedy. All right. Well, I think that's far enough for today, because we will we cover the next one? No, I don't. Oh, actually, it's a short chapter. We got 5 minutes or so. The next chapter is kindness, number 4. Let's quickly go through that. So, kindness. Research has shown a correlation between happiness and kindness. This means that happier people are more likely to perform an altruistic act, like helping a stranger or a colleague, despite their own heavy workload. So does it actually affect your happiness? Well, it does. They've done studies on it, and it shows with a resounding yes that performing acts of kindness does make you happier. Hurrah for kindness, both in the short and the long term. Partly because being kind helps you to see others in a more positive light. It improves your self-image and the sense of your own fortune. It can add meaning to your life. And on top of all that, being kind means that people are more likely to appreciate you, like you, and offer gratitude for your kind deed. That doesn't mean do it with the expectation of return, or being thanked, or being put on a pedestal or something, but just making it part of your daily habit to where you can be kind to people. All right. So not doing it just to keep people on our good side because of reciprocity, but also the majority of us are kind to just be kind. So have you ever given $1 to the person in front of you in a line when they've been short? And she goes, yeah, me neither, joke. But yeah, paying for somebody else's coffee or something like that, it's good. It makes you feel good. And she challenges you here for the next with an interview with Sonia. I can't even pronounce this. Lyubomirsky, who's a happiness or kindness specialist. One of the researchers behind the original pie chart of what the correlation between happiness and kindness. So for the next month, or any period of time that you want to choose, but let's say the next month, do 3 acts of kindness, big or small, towards close or distant others that you don't normally do. Ideally, do them all on one day. Say every Monday, do 3 extra kind acts. and see what a difference it makes to your life. All right, accepting kindness. Now, here's an interesting one. Are you a person who easily accepts kindness from other people, or do you reject it? How are you with compliments? Are you okay with receiving compliments, or do you try and get embarrassed and brush them aside, or don't think that you're worthy of receiving them? I have a friend like that who I know, when if you say something nice, you said, "Oh, that's a nice dress you're wearing," she go, "Oh, I just bought this at the op shop."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She'll brush aside, or she feel like she's got to justify that she didn't spend too much money on it. She's got a money issue. So she's having to justify why she's got that nice dress on. It's strange, isn't it? And you know, ever had an experience of that with anyone?
Probably. I can't think of one right now, though.
Okay. So asking for help. I mean, very often that can put us off asking for help if we're not a person who easily accepts help from other people.
Yeah,
And
very good, that one.
yeah. So look at so when you're asking someone for a kindness, remember to flip things around. Consider the time and commitment required for the task and whether the value of your relationship with that person warrants asking them. So you don't go and ask a complete stranger for huge acts of kindness that, you know, above and beyond, because that might be you, because I don't know where boundaries are, I suppose. Stick to your strengths. I've had to learn that if I do everything for everyone else, I won't have any time for my family or friends or myself. So she's not saying go to the extreme of being kind to everybody all the time, because you'll wear yourself out. You won't have any energy left for yourself and your own family. But it's a matter of just introducing more kindness in a balanced way to your life. And I know you're both kind people, so I'm preaching to the converted here. Moral, pick the most appropriate person to help you, and in return offer the help you're best suited to provide to the right people at the right times. And to say no to somebody if they're asking you for something that is going to put you out, instead of feeling duty bound to have to do it or feeling guilty if you don't do it, get better at evaluating whether it's something that you can do and that it's worth your time to do, because saying no isn't selfish, it's self-care, and we need to practice it more. So she sort of seems to be saying two conflicting things in a way. Be kind, practice more acts of kindness to people, but at the same time look after yourself, because you could easily go the other way where you're trying to be too much to everybody and not allowing enough time for your own issues and your own family and your own requirements. So keep your energy level up. She said, consider the 2 days rule. Sometimes we say yes to things. Yeah, of course I can come with you to that 3-hour movie that you really want to see, because we think they're ages away. I'm guilty of this over and over again, but what helps me is thinking about whether or not I'd say yes if the event was in 2 days' time. So it's quite easy to commit to something. Oh yeah, I'll come to that event next month because it's a way off in the distance, but suddenly it will be the day before that event or 2 days before that event, and then you're thinking, oh, I've got all this other stuff to do. So consider if it was only 2 days away, would you say yes to it still? One of the things I find a little bit irritating is when people won't commit one with the other. They'll sort of go, oh yeah, we might come, as if they're waiting to see if something better comes up instead. You ever experienced that? How do you feel about that one?
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Yeah. I tend to be more along the lines of, yes, I'll go, or no, I probably won't, rather than sort of leaving people hanging that, oh, I might come, but if something better comes up, then I won't come to your event. I'll go to the other party, you know, that kind of, it's disrespectful, isn't it, really? People.
Yeah, rude.
need to know. Or give them a genuine, look, I can't give you a straight answer yet because this work situation's occurring and it may require my extra time. If I can make it, I will, but I'm not going to say that I'm coming now because it's looking, I might not make it because I've got this other pressure going on. So if you're giving them an explanation of what it is that may prevent you from attending, that's a more honest answer than just kind of going, maybe. See if something better comes up. And if that party looks better than your party, I'll go to that one instead. You know? So there you go. The TLDR section of this chapter, which is a short chapter, as I said, performing acts of kindness and being an overall good human makes you happier. Don't overthink it. Helping a stranger cross the road, picking up litter, babysitting, campaigning on behalf of a charity, all of these and many more are acts of kindness. So you don't have to go and change the world, you know. One that sprung to mind for me was being in the supermarket and an elderly lady was struggling to reach something on a high shelf. And I saw it and I just turned around and said, oh, let me get that for you, and reached and got it for her, which was easy for me to do because I'm tall. Hard for her because she was elderly and short. But it's not a big thing. It's just a little thing. But, you know, you've helped someone that day, that moment. Learn how to accept kindness from others. You can absolutely crush it in multiple domains, but you can't crush it without help and support. While you're shaking this kindness thing like glitter, sprinkle a little bit on yourself. It's okay and sometimes necessary to say no. There you go. We got in a bonus chapter, chapter 4 there. I wanted to be kind to you by showing you the chapter on kindness. All right. Anything leapt out at you from what we've covered today?
I like the question that you said about what would make today great. That was good.
A good question, isn't it? I found that one leapt out at me too. That there's something to remind yourself, maybe put it in your journal or something to ask yourself, put a sticker in front of where you see it or go habitually go, what can I do today that's going to make today great for me? No, not you putting it, what can make Tony's day great, that what can make Carly's day great, what can make Stan's day great. All right. Good one. Carly, anything for you?
Well, I think I'm doing pretty well on most of that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
very
just that
impressed with both of you with their morning routines.
Yeah. Well, I am a morning person. That's my favorite time.
Oh.
Yeah. And being on my own.
I'm working on that. I'm still an owl at the moment, but you know, I think because Joe gets up so early as well now, it's I found that when I do get up early, I can, if I do what she says in this book, which is to allocate the time for doing something that you want to do that's good for you, productive for you, like reading or journaling or something positive, then you feel better about having got up early.
Yeah, so Kevin doesn't get up early, and that's great. When he does, it affects my equilibrium.
He gets in the way.
And you got to do the routine every day like a habit. Like it doesn't matter, like if you have a sleep in at 10:30, you'll still get up and do my morning routine.
I love the way you put that so delicately, Coralie. He affects my equilibrium. No, he's an annoying bugger. Well done. But it's true, isn't it, that we can be opposites. I am the sort of night owl and Joe is the early morning lark. It's actually worked quite well for us with medication sometimes, or with, you know, with dealing with Troy, because I can stay up late and do stuff and be there available to him if he needs me. Whereas Joe's up in the morning first thing, and you know, so we sort of, it's like shift work almost. But but now, yeah, working towards having that time to do stuff together or separately, that's fine. All right, some things to think about there, and the overall message: keep working on being happy. Thank you very much for your attendance today, for your laughs and smiles, and we will see you again next week to continue on with chapter 5, self-talk. It's going to be an interesting one, isn't it?
Mm,
All right. Have a
Yeah.
great week, everyone.
thanks,
Get out there,
Tony.
Wim Hofing.
Bye.
Wim Hofing.
Win.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.